Be ready. 5 seconds. Start. Foreign investment and foreign technology agreements in India have hitherto had to obtain a specific prior approval for the government. In the case of foreign investment, automatic approval is now available for proposals with a foreign equity share of up to 51% in high priority industries. In view of the current balance of payment constraint, the facility is available only to firms that are able to finance their capital equipment imports with the foreign equity contribution. Such firms are also required to balance dividend repatriation with export earnings for a period of 7 years from the commencement of production. This condition has been imposed to provide a signal for foreign investment to be competitive internationally, particularly in the light of expected trade and tariff reforms, which will reduce protection within the next 3 to 5 years. The condition is not likely to impinge on the dividend policy of most companies, since a normal dividend repatriation volume would seldom be higher than 1% to 2% of sales. Foreign technology agreements where royalties are limited to 5% of domestic sales and 8% of export sales, along with lump sum payments of up to rupees 10 millions, are now automatically approved. In high priority industries, free foreign exchange would be available for the payments, whereas in other industries, these payments would have to be covered by Exim script. Recognizing the need to strengthen the initiatives for foreign direct investment, the government has set up the Foreign Investment Promotion Board to consider and approve substantial foreign investment proposals. These proposals would be considered in totality, free from predetermined parameters and procedures. In order to facilitate the finance of large investment requirements, the all equity requirement for capital goods imports for projects receiving automatic approvals needs to be modified as and when the external payment situation permits. The government will also endeavor to raise the quantitative limits on capital goods imports for delicensed investment projects as the external payment situation improves. The government intends to remove the provision linking dividend repayment to export earnings for foreign direct investment projects eligible for automatic clearance as soon as the external payments situation permits. The government has been following a policy of realizing industry from price and distribution controls during the 1980s. Such controls were removed for paper, cement, and aluminium among the products. The government intends to continue with similar decontrol in other industries, including steel. The major industrial regulatory reforms already implemented by the government constitute a substantial structural reform of Indian industrial policy. The government recognizes that the major reconstructing of the Indian economy implied by its agenda of macroeconomic adjustment and structural reform will depend on the success of these reforms. Large numbers of Sikh firms constitute a drain on the government budget. Their unpaid outstanding loan obligations weaken the financial system, and in many cases, such firms have closed their doors, leaving labor unemployed without compensation and leaving creditors unreimbursed. Further reforms are needed to formulate a socially acceptable policy to facilitate the restructuring of industrial unit in the face of changing technology and the need to modernize. This will prevent sickness in the future. For the restructuring of existing sick, the loss-making companies in both the public and private sectors, the government will establish an interministerial working group by November 1991, which will review existing provisions of the various laws governing labor relations, state and local governments' role in industrial restructuring, regulations governing transfer of land, procedures for liquidation under the Companies Act, and other relevant aspects. Based on its review, this working group will recommend a program of reforms. These reforms will be undertaken along with the efforts to establish adequate safeguards, the workers' provision of appropriate compensation, and a program for redevelopment and retraining for displaced workers resulting from the winding up of the industrial units. The government is well aware that a prerequisite for a successful policy for a industrial restructuring is a safety net or social insurance scheme to provide support for displaced workers in the organized sector through the National Renewal Fund to be set up by December 1991. It is our intention to seek the bank's support for the establishment of this facility. Since independence, India has witnessed the growth of a well-diversified and comprehensive financial infrastructure. In terms of financial sector size, the financial system ranks in the top quarter among developing countries. The capital market is broad and active, and in recent years has found the public increasingly receptive. In 1990-91, non-government companies were able to raise 25.27 billion rupees through new issuance of equity and debentures as compared to 11.04 billion rupees in 1985-86. The government's ownership of the financial and banking institutions is dominant. This has enabled it to achieve multiple objectives, including mobilization of resources, integration of the rural population into the financial mainstream, enhancement of availability of long-term loans to all levels of industry and agricultural, and increased access to credit to small industrialists, farmers, and weaker sections of society.